War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We are heavy here on Auburn sports, but if it's orange and blue, it's what we do here on this live streams, on our podcast network, other content that we do out there for you all. That is what we cover, and that is what we're here about on the E2C network. Thank you all so much for joining us, whether you are actually watching this live or you're watching on the replay. Take a minute if you can and post where you're watching from. City, state, international, all that good stuff with a War Eagle. Want to know who's here chatting with me because this is a live stream, and it's always best to know who I'm talking to, who I'm hanging out with, and who wants to interact today. Today's topic that I thought we would spend a lot of our time on is a potential starting lineup for the Auburn men's basketball team in 2021-22 season because of the JT Thor news that we just heard about, and I've talked about in a recent video I've done. So that is going to be our main discussion point, but anything and everything is fair game today if you would like to talk about it. Also, that's the wrong thing there, Kyle. I'll bring the right thing up. If you'd like to help support the content that we do here on this channel or on our podcast network, you can do that by a couple of different ways. Main thing is to listen to the podcast. And if you do listen to the podcast on Apple Podcast, if you wouldn't mind giving us a review there, that is a quick thing you can do that really does help us out and helps other people find us. There's also the Booster Club, which you can find pinned to the top of this chat window, patreon.com/E2C Network, where you can sign up for $1 a month at minimum, get some cool perks, but there's other levels as well. You can check that out. There's also PayPal, our TeePublic store, all different ways that you can help support what we're doing here on the network. Let's say hello to a couple of people. We got Neal White in the house, Rob Donaldson, Samuel Pate, Kasey Dunaway. Good to see all of y'all. East Cobb, Birmingham, Huntsville. Looks like we are like up and down Alabama. I was in Cancun last week, already ready to go back. I am going to Gulf Shores, well, really Orange Beach, but basically the same thing, in about 3 weeks. I am so ready to be down there and having a little bit of relaxation tonight. So anyway, good to see a lot of familiar faces here, and I hope a lot of you will see the regulars here popping in as we get started today. It's a little bit different time, and it's been a while since we did a live stream together. Typically, I try to do a somewhat weekly Wednesday night, just general discussion, no really set topic. Completely forgot this week, just to be honest. It's been crazy. I've been eat up with content to produce for just a while now, and so just kind of slipped through the cracks, but I plan to be back in the saddle on Wednesday nights this upcoming week. But like I said, we can talk about the main topic today that I have prepared, but if y'all want to bounce around a little bit on some different things, we can certainly do that. Kasey's going to be in the mountains of Georgia this week, and I bet that will be nice with the heat coming in, nice and cool up there. Actually, it'll probably be even cooler because if the storm system continues to roll through, probably be even cooler up there. So nice little refuge from the thing. All right, how about this? I think to start off with this, I posted a video earlier. If you haven't checked that out, please go do so, talking about the JT Thor decision. He did decide to stay in the NBA draft and is now signed with an agency. Don't know the particular agent. And so that means that he is no longer eligible to be part of the Auburn men's basketball team. So what are your initial reactions, your thoughts? Share with me in the chat window now. Also saw somebody do that just a second ago. Please do, if you can, smash that like button. It will help us out on the stream as we go throughout that tonight. But what are your thoughts, your impressions? What are you thinking about in terms of the news of JT Thor deciding? Was it the right decision? Was it the wrong decision? You tell me. I don't think there was a right or wrong decision for JT Thor. I think if he had decided to come back, great, right? I think the Auburn's set up for a lot of success over this next season, and I think he could have been a piece of the puzzle that would have really solidified their chances at something to run. So I think there's that. I think he also would have helped his stock a little bit, built himself up a little bit stronger, continued to show every area of his game. But I also think that he has the best information possible, and I think that he is probably knows what's best for him. So I trust that he's made the right decision. Neal says, not happy about it, but it is what it is. Next man up. Sam says, frowny face. Look, I get it. I was very sad to hear it. I had kind of prepared myself for this. In fact, if you kind of go back on a lot of live streams and in some of the podcast episodes we've done, I've said repeatedly, I'm preparing for a season without JT Thor, just because, at the moment it wasn't an option. So I've kind of been in this place where I've expected him not to be here. And so that's why today I wanted to talk about who might the starting lineup be now, because I think everybody agrees JT Thor would have been in the starting lineup had he returned. Let's see. I believe it was a dumb decision, but it is choice. I wish him good luck, but I don't see him getting drafted in the first round. I don't think I even posted a poll yesterday on social media. By the way, we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff if you're curious. And most people said I said first or second round was to get drafted. I think a lot of people have forgotten there's only 2 rounds. Several people tried to not call me out because a lot of them are friends, but say, I think you've missed a few rounds. No, I didn't miss them. There's only 2 rounds. Unless things have changed and I messed up on that. But I do think that he will not probably go in the first round, but I think he's got a good chance to go maybe mid second round personally. What about everybody else? First, second round, what do you think? Post that in the chat window right now. A new, fresh freshman team. Yes, we will definitely have a very new team, fresh all the way around. Some freshmen starting, I'm sure, but also some veterans, at least in SEC play. It's going to be a whole nother lineup change. And that's the crazy thing about this, is that we came from a season in 2019-20 where we completely flipped the starting lineup. And we're pretty much, for the most part, going to be doing that all over again, which is kind of frustrating, right? It's a little frustrating to see so much turnover, but that means that good things are happening for the Tigers usually. For the Tigers, it is. All right, here's what I think would be the most beneficial thing. In fact, let me go ahead and make sure I've got this all pulled. And sorry for the typing sounds, but I want to make sure that I've got the roster pulled up here, because I think it would be beneficial for all of us to kind of talk through, obviously, who's not here and who might be showing up next season. All right. So I think the easiest thing to do when we talk about the starting lineup, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, if you think something wrong, we try to eliminate who probably is not going to be a starter next season. And I think you look at the list of people here, Dylan Cardwell. Okay. He is not going to be a starter, just being honest. Great asset to the team. I really think he's got potential to continue to get better. He's got to calm down a little bit. He's not going to start. I'm probably not going to run through some of the walk-ons and stuff like that, because that's kind of an obvious answer there, like Chase Madrop, Chandler Leopold, that kind of stuff. I think potentially you could be, or not potentially, I think Babatunde or stretch Akingbola will not be starting. I also think Chris Moore will not be starting. Is Chris Moore still here? I think Javon Franklin left, I think Chris Moore's still here. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Javon left. And then obviously, so really those 3 right there have already been, personally, in my opinion, eliminated from options as being part of the starting lineup. It doesn't mean that they're not going to contribute, that they're not going to be, great assets, but it means that you can probably push them aside as part of the argument. That is going to be part of the argument to see starting time. Let's see here. I want the Bulls to draft JT. Really good wing defender, and he can shoot, and I believe JT would be a good fit for the Bulls. That's a nice thought. I haven't really, processed. It's not like the NFL for me, where I can pretty much pinpoint who would be a good option for them. NBA is completely different for me, so yeah. Kasey says, I still think we get another transfer big man. I disagree with you, Kasey, because we have plenty of big men. We do not need big men. We need guards. And if we're going to get anybody, potentially, I think it's going to be another guard, hopefully a point guard. I have spoken with someone who, I always say my sources, and one of my sources that I trust, I asked him after this decision, I said, okay, so does that mean somebody else is coming? Do you expect anybody else? He or she has told me no, unless some big name transfer decided they wanted to come. So there you go. So that probably means that for now, your roster is set, barring some crazy things, which we've already seen happen once before. I want Jordan Brown and Musa Krisi, I guess that's how you say that, for both 5-star transfers. I want them too, but that doesn't mean they're not going to come. Maybe we can pick off a player from Duke now that Coach K is retiring. That's a good thought. The problem is he's going to be here, and you want to be part of Coach K's last season. You definitely do. You definitely, you want to be part of Coach K's last season. Nobody's leaving him right now, unless it's like the high talent stuff is not leaving, in my opinion, because they're one and dones anyway most of the time. Basketball is a guards game. However, and I think Bruce Pearl and the way he runs his systems kind of shows you that. Had a lot of success with heavy guard teams. And when I say heavy, like meaning more guards than big man. I think you must have the right big men, though, and that's really key to be successful in basketball, no matter what system you run. And I think what made Auburn run for the last couple of seasons was Austin Wiley, being such a strong presence down there in the paint that they could bring in so many other guards because he did so much work down there. Let's see. Excuse me, I'm yelling. Let's go ahead and cover it. Cruz or G League. Dude is a tremendous talent. Cruz or G League? Let's see. I cannot imagine Coach K without basketball. And here's the thing. I actually hate Duke. Hate him. It's like Tom Brady, okay? You hate Tom Brady, but you can still acknowledge this is like the pentultimate of basketball, right? I mean, for football, for Tom Brady, but for Duke, you respect the heck out of a Coach K team. You respect the heck out of what they do as much as you may hate what they do because they're so dang good for the most part. He says, I can do the starting lineup right now. It'll be the best team we've ever have. It's a little tough. I think it's a little, Kasey, again, the master of hyperbole. I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying you are the master of hyperbole. I think it's a little rash to say this is our best team ever until they actually get on the court. That 2018-19 team, the Final Four team, that is our best team, hands down. No discussion. The only rival could be Chris Porter, Mamadou Njai, Scotty Pullman, Damian Fishbag, the late 90s, and maybe the early 2000s with Marco Killingsworth, Lewis Monroe, Marquise Daniels, Kyle Davis, those type of names. But okay, so we've eliminated Dylan, Stretch, Babatunde, Akingbola, and Chris Moore. I think it's probably obvious at this point that point guard is going to be taken on by Wendell Green, right? Does everybody agree with that? And what I'm doing. This is like a little workshop for me because I'm hopefully going to do another video that I'll post, not like a live stream, where I actually give my official prediction. Y'all are helping me work through this here. So does anybody out there disagree that Wendell Green is not going to be the point guard? And honestly, the only set position I think that Bruce Pearl has in an ideal situation, unlike last year, is the point guard. So I think Wendell Green, point guard, right? Does everybody agree with that? Scotty Pullman could hit those threes. Scotty Pullman is my kind of player. I loved Scotty Pullman. I'm a three machine myself. At least I was. So I love Scotty Pullman. But I think Wendell Green's your point guard. I'm going to throw some names out here because I think potentially, everybody's got this idea of what Coach Pearl's offense is. Is it with a 2 or a 3, or is it 2 of the same, in terms of guards. But you've got Desi Sills, you've got Katie Johnson, you've got Alan Flanagan, and you've got Zep Jasper. All of these names are vying for probably those 2 spots, is probably what I think. So you make your case now. Who do you think fits into these slots and where? I will argue about bigger men coming up in a little second. And if you notice, I left Devin Cambridge out of this. Not because I don't think he doesn't have potential to be a starter. I don't think he's going to be. But because I think he fits better in a different position. Do you see Stephen Pearl as the head coach after Bruce retires in 15 to 20 years? Wow. First of all, you're assuming that Bruce is going to be here in 15 to 20 years. I live in constant fear. By the way, quick plug. If you haven't listened to Auburn Roots, please do. I interviewed a weatherman for the Weather Channel. His name is Reynolds Wolf. Very famous, big name at the Weather Channel. He's a big Auburn fan. And we talked a lot about the fear of Coach Pearl leaving one day. So you're assuming a lot. Do I think that Stephen Pearl, if he doesn't get snatched up by somebody in before that, then yes, it would make sense for that to happen. I'm not so certain that Coach Pearl isn't setting himself up to be an athletic director one day. Personally. Think about it. I think it makes a lot of sense. Auburn lost by 1 to Syracuse. Syracuse with Carmelo Anthony went on the win to turn. I remember where I was when I watched that. It's so frustrating that we lost by 1 to the eventual national champion. Excuse me. I might check this line out up. Zion Cruz, Nick Smith, Whitehead, Jarris Wallace, Imani Bates for 2022. A little bit too far looking ahead for me, but yeah, potentially. We're not going to get all 5 stars, though, Kasey. Coach Pearl won't leave Auburn. He'll retire a Tiger. I hope so. I really, really hope so. We dodged a bullet, in my opinion, that I don't think people took seriously this year. I think Indiana could lure him away. But they got rid of their coach and hired somebody else. If they wanted him, I think he'd go, personally. I have no reason other than, weird speculation on my part to consider that. But I think it's a possibility. All right. I will say guard position. Right now, I think that Alan Flanagan is a, and I'm not going to say 2 or 3. I'm just going to go ahead and say guard. Alan Flanagan is in. I know a lot of you, he frustrated this past season. I won't say he had the great start this season, but kind of was put in positions and asked to do too much. So I think too much that he shouldn't be doing. And I think that really affected him. I think Alan Flanagan is in as a starter too. So Wendell Green and Alan Flanagan. The problem is now we've got a collection of Katie Johnson, Desi Sills, and Zep Jasper. I think Zep Jasper is not going to start. So I'm even going to kind of put him up here with this list of people that aren't going to start. He could, but I don't think so, personally. Neal says, we dodged UT and UNC. He isn't leaving. I'm glad you're confident, Neal. I'm not. I am not confident at all. When you show that you can turn around a program like Auburn, that was the pits of college basketball, the pits, especially and mainly in Power 5 or upper level college basketball conferences, that gets you some recognition and people want you and they'll throw some money at you. Why did Duke not want Nate Oates? Because Nate Oates is a one and done, or he's a limited success person. Boeheim has been at Syracuse longer than Coach has been at Duke. Why is much the reason why I respect him as a coach. All right, so then Casey's are going to drop the starting lineup right here. Wendell Green, Katie Johnson, Alan Flanagan, Jabari Smith, Walker Kessler. I don't have a lot of problems with that one there. I think there's some discussion to be had in other areas as well, though, too. I'm 100% confident. Auburn gave Coach Pearl a second chance. He's loyal to Auburn. I think so, too. I in my heart of hearts, I believe that, Neal. I really do. I believe that that's taking place, that he's found his forever home. But there's just that thing about me as an Auburn fan where the worst can happen and I need to prepare myself for it. So I've already kind of like made these scenarios out of my head where who's going to come get him. I think someone from the Midwest can come get him. Anyway. All right. Back more on, he says, be optimistic. Auburn people are always, and let me be clear. I get accused, and I know that is, if you've been watching live streams since I've started doing these at the beginning of the year, you'll probably get the impression that I'm not an optimistic person. I get accused of being a Pollyanna, a sunshine pumper, day in and day out. And it's so funny to see me like a live streams, like rationalize this, and I don't seem optimistic whatsoever. I'm totally optimistic, but the reason I am so optimistic is because I prepare myself for the worst and just expect it to happen. Because then when it happens, I'm like, hey, I was right. Anyway, that's just my process of working through things. I think there's a lot of hype around KD Johnson to start. I'm not so sure that he will, though. He's still he'll be a sophomore. Desi Stills, there's a lot of controversy about like what he's, where he's going to be in terms of like if there was people assuming that maybe he wasn't going to be a part of the team or something like that. I think if he's here, which I expect him to be, he's starting. Auburn needs upperclassman leadership to start. Desi Stills provides that, personally. I think he really, really provides that. I love KD Johnson. I think he's a great talent. Glad to have him. I don't think he starts to start off with, at least. But that's what I'm saying. Everyone is expecting this lineup, and I think that lineup that you posted is probably a very popular one. I think people are expecting a little bit too much though. So I think Desi Stills, I think is how you say it, is going to get a potential start there. But I will, for argument's sake, look at Allen Flanagan, Desi Stills, KD Johnson, and say, look at these guys. There's a chance each one of them can start. Who knows? Zep Jasper may come in and surprise people and start. Don't think so, but there's that. But anyway, we're going to be pretty strong, I think, in that area. So then that leaves two other positions, which can be traditionally reserved for some bigger guys. So in that area, you got Walker Kessler. And then you've got, actually, let me write these up here. I'm workshopping this, like I said, as we go along. You've got Jabari Smith, the highest rated recruit Auburn has ever pulled in. And you've got Jalen Williams. So here's the interesting thing about this. I can make a case for each one of these to start. And there's something about Jalen Williams. And I know, and I posted this and people have ridiculed me. There's something about Jalen Williams and the leadership he provides on the field that I think is unavoidable to make him a case to be a starter. As of this moment, I'm putting Jalen Williams as the starter in some big man position, whether that's the 4 or the 5. I will not argue with Jabari Smith's talent, and I think he is going to potentially start. I cannot argue with Walker Kessler's talent. I think the thing that gives, in an argument of Jabari versus Walker, that gives me the edge to Walker is because he's already played at this level. So I think that Walker is probably going to start as well. I think eventually Jabari Smith is going to be starting over a Jalen Williams. But when you start the season, you're trying to figure things out, you need leadership, upperclassman leadership, which is why I think Desi Stills and Jalen Williams got a strong case of making the starting lineup personally. Excuse me. Let's see. I expect Allen, KD, Walker, Jabari, and Jalen and Desi leave for the draft after the season. Probably not. KD, yes. Allen, yes. Jabari, Desi, not Jalen though. I don't think Jalen will leave. Any word on where Bruce's statue is going to be? That's funny. I would imagine if they put a Bruce Pearl statue, it's going to go close to where Charles Barkley is. Start lining that spot in front of the, I guess, the scholarship entrance. It'll be a long time before Coach Pearl gets his statue. I think he will see to it that there's not that put out there until he is about ready to be done. But a statue is coming, or a honoring of some sort is coming. I think personally, too, that before you start talking about that, you've got to honor some of the other names in Auburn basketball before you get to that point. I think Coach Sonny Smith clearly deserves to be in that discussion. I think, you know, I know the persons are very, you know, well, one person is very controversial figure right now for Auburn fans, but I do think that probably needs to be discussed as well. I would argue that Mike Mitchell would need to be in a statute discussion. I would argue that Vicky Orr needs to be in a discussion of that magnitude. And I know that's women's basketball, but I'm just saying. You know, I think there are a lot of names that need to be discussed either in tandem or before Coach Pearl, because Coach Pearl's got some years left on him. Did I forget anybody from that list of names? Because just to refresh here, we eliminated Dylan Cardwell, Babatunde, Chris Moore, Zep Jasper as not starting, along with all of the walk-ons and players like that. I have said that vying for starting spots, Wendell Green, Alan Flanagan, Desi Stills, Katie Johnson, Jalen Williams, Walker Kessler, Jabari Smith. Did I forget anybody from this list? Let me know. That, I mean, and just in terms of players that we have not discussed yet, because I think I've got everybody on there, because Trey Alexander is gone now. Jabari Smith going to come in, average 25 points, 10 rebounds, 3 to 5 blocks per game. Don't think so, but he could probably get close to 20. Close. War Eagle to B. Parham from Madison. We are represented all up and down Alabama today. Nice to see all of you here. All right. So I'm not going to say that this is my official starting lineup just yet. But like I said, I hope to do a video where I kind of make my final prediction. But I am really leaning towards, personally, Wendell Green, Alan Flanagan, Desi Stills, Jalen Williams, and Walker Kessler as my starting 5. Now, the way Bruce Pearl runs his system, you will see, even if Katie Johnson in my, world here and Jabari Smith weren't to start, they would get a lot of playing time. And maybe to the point where they earn that starting position. So just because I'm making a prediction that those two names aren't going to be in the starting lineup, that doesn't mean they're not going to see significant time. That's just my prediction. And something I see there. Isaac Okoro and Eddie Johnson, I think you meant Jared Harper and so on. Still really early for those names. When you start doing statues, you've got to do names that belong. It's been some time. Statues take a while to come around. Well, I said that about Cam Newton, but that's a special case, right? Championship, Heisman Trophy, all in 1 year. And they were making the row of Heismans together. So I think that's, there's that as well. I think Sonny Smith would be the next one to get a statue, personally. Auburn needs to give Chris Davis a statue, put it on a truck, and drive it around Tuscaloosa. I don't know if you came up with that yourself, Neal, or if that's something you're repeating. Whatever it came from, that's brilliant. That is absolutely, again, a quick plug for the Auburn Roots episode this week. We talked about they still haven't caught Chris Davis. Like it's so funny. Devin Cambridge, that is the name I forgot. Thank you. Devin Cambridge. I don't think he's going to start, but I think he can be in those discussions as well because he's extremely talented. You did come up with that by yourself. Oh, that's awesome. Well, round of applause for you, sir. Golf clap. That was well done. Well played, sir. Okay. So I think that, even with forgetting Devin Cambridge for a second there, even though I talked about him earlier, I don't think that he can make his way into this group for a starting lineup position. But he will see significant playing time. So here's kind of what you've got happening here, too. If you look at it this way, my prediction, Wendell Green, Alan Flanagan, Desi Stills, Jalen Williams, Walker Kessler, your starting 5. I think then what that develops is a second platoon that's going to be very talented. You've got a Zep Jasper. I'm just speculating here. I'm not really saying point guard, or whatever. I think then you've got a Katie Johnson. Just writing these in. Again, I'm workshopping this, everybody. Then you've got a Devin Cambridge. You've got a Jabari Smith. Excuse me. This is almost a complete platoon right here. I think then you would put a Dylan Cardwell in with that group as well. My point in saying is this. You want to know who your two deep are to really feel good about where you're, where you're sitting at as a program. That's a solid two deep. I will not say right now that is as good as the two deep as was last year or 2 years before that. Really 2 years before that. But it looks really good because we're not even talking about Chris Moore. We're not even talking about Babatunde. I know they haven't seen a lot of time. They've had a few struggles themselves, but they both shown the talent. Auburn's in a really good position, no matter what you think the starting lineup is going to be. That idea is a Neal White original. Rodney, good to see you, my man. Thanks for being here. Don't think Cambridge, Stretch, Moore, Cardwell won't start because of 5 stars coming in. And Kasey, let me give you some food for thought here. Stars mean jack diddly. Production means more. Thankfully, sometimes stars and production coincide. And it tends to be that way a little bit more in basketball for some reason. So I would argue that, yes, we're probably going to see more production out of those potential those 5 stars, those 4 stars. But they mean jack diddly in the grand scheme of things. So don't get so caught up on stars. Jared Harper was a 3-star. Case in point. Bryce Brown was a 2-star. In fact, we made a post during the Final Four run of North Carolina versus Auburn. North Carolina had 3 5-stars and 2 4-stars, I think, on their starting lineup. Auburn had a 2-star, 3 3-stars, and 1 4-star. Stars don't mean anything. Production does. Now that COVID is over, how is Auburn's bass team still? Is Auburn's bass? No, they've been back performing for quite some times. That they've been competing for a little bit of time. Just want to say I'm hearing reports of offensive tackle and wide receivers transferred who haven't said they're transferring are favored to come here. Maybe, yeah, I'm hearing some of those too. Offensive tackle, definitely. I say, bring them on. You guys know I have preached till I'm blue in the face. Auburn's problems are offensive line. Over, said, and done with. You can't fix the other problems until those are fixed. If we got somebody sitting over there in the wind that wants to come offensive line-wise and take a job, and I'm not trying to dog our current offensive linemen. But as of this moment, they haven't gotten it done. So let's see what happens. Competition's always a good thing. I say that for quarterback. Say that for wide receiver. Still the same for offensive line. They plan on transferring, but they haven't officially entered the portal. I mean, probably a lot that goes into that discussion there. Jared was a 4-star. Brown was a 3-star. Kasey, depends on which service that you look at. Bryce Brown was a 2-star, and they don't really exist. That's why they now kind of put him as a 3-star. But in most people's minds, nobody wanted him, at least big-time programs. Same thing for Jared. Jared was overlooked because of his size. But, yeah, depending on who you look at. And a lot of the people go back and retroactively change those to make their services look better. Coming out, though, they were not regarded highly. What are we going to do since baseball's over? Relax. I'm ready to have a somewhat easy summer. It was a very good week of visits for Auburn. Nice to see people on campus this season. Competition's always a good thing. Always. It always is. That's why I'm not mad at TJ Finley for coming in and being a competition for Bo Nix and Demetrius Davis. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to start wrapping up the show here. Doesn't mean don't run away. We're not gone just yet. Post last-minute comments, questions, all that good stuff. Here are a couple things for you to consider. ways to support our channel, our content. If you could, at least go check out the Booster Club. Link is in the description for this video, but also pinned to the top of the chat window. $1 a month. I know it doesn't seem like a lot. How can that really help us? It does. We have expenses to run over almost 800 podcast episodes, this network, all that stuff. You get some perks for doing that. It is really a huge help if you could consider doing that. Thank you to a lot of our people that I know haven't seen in this stream yet, but thank you so much to y'all that choose to do that, the Booster Club. PayPal donations, TeePublic Store always, but the easiest thing is just listen to the podcast, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, share it with a friend. We just want to know that you guys enjoy the content that we have. So that's the easiest thing that you can do. Ooh, a lot of people popped in here. Let's see. Only 2 months until college football. Count it down, baby. Count it down. Is it? No, it's. Are you counting fall practice? Then yes. But it's like 80-something days left, so that's 2.5. But yes, roughly 2 months till things start back up. I'm surprised we never recruited Jared's younger brother. There's obviously a reason for that. And your name doesn't really mean that you're gonna, be that great in terms of what we need. Not that you're not gonna be great for someone else, but same thing for Cam Newton's brother. Everybody got hyped about Kalen Newton, and he's still here. I think he'll do good things, but clearly not his brother. Stereotypical Auburn fan, did you guys hear about Desi Stills possibly leaving? So here's the thing with that. Unless there's new information, I have heard all those rumors. I have checked in on those rumors. As of this point, I have nothing to be worried about. Doesn't mean things won't change, but personally, I wouldn't worry about that too much right now. And if that's the case, then that opens up a spot for Katie Johnson in terms of my starting lineup. Jared Clay, good to see you, my man. Thanks for being here. Let's see here. August 28th is the beginning of fall practice, I think is what he's saying. Do you think the 3 5-stars who visit this weekend on the same day will team up with Zion Cruz? Says Auburn is his leader. Potentially. Don't get caught up in 5 stars, though. Doesn't mean that they're the right fit for Auburn. The O-line is like point guard. When Sharif was hurt last season, they are the weakness, and they make everyone around them play worse. Another slow clap for Jack this time. Thank you. I would argue that the point guard is the quarterback, but your point stands. Offensive line, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, is where Auburn football's problems, no matter who the coach is, no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who else, anybody else is, get fixed. Over. Said and done. Neal, War Dustbuster. If you've been here on a live stream on Wednesday nights, you understand that reference. It will forever live in infamy. I'm trying to convince, I haven't talked to him yet, but I'm going to try to get Clint to be on this Wednesday and hang out with us, but we'll see what happens. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We'll have probably a lot of announcements for this summer. We try to do some new things, change up some things during the summer, so just stay tuned. People that are in the Booster Club will know those updates before anybody else, so that's a reason to be in there and know all that kind of stuff. But check all those links out in the description, the Booster Club especially. Thank you guys so much for being here today on this live stream. Hopefully I'll see you this Wednesday night. Stay tuned to the channel for some other uploads probably coming down the pipe soon. But I really appreciate all of you being here. And until we talk to you again, my friends, War Eagle.